Good morning, and welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, a liberal tradition in Braintree, Massachusetts since 1833. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all persons as we engage in an ongoing search for truth and meaning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you inhabit your body, and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome into the life of this beloved community. My name is Linda Cozzens, and I serve on the Board of Trustees, and it's my pleasure to be your worship associate this morning. If you're visiting for the first time or would like us to reach out to you, please click on the link provided in the chat to submit a connection card, and we'll be happy to follow up with you. Everyone will remain muted during the service unless you wish to participate in the sharing of joys and concerns, at which time you may raise your hand and unmute your mic. And our services are recorded, except for our shared joys and concerns, and posted on our YouTube channel weekly. After the service, everyone's invited to stay online and attend our virtual coffee hour. Our minister, the Reverend Beau will be leading our service today. Our chalice words this morning are by our very own Reverend Beau. We gather this morning as a people of faith. We light our chalice as a symbol of hope and a beacon of light to guide our way. We gather to rekindle our hearts in this beloved community and renew our commitment to make the world a better place. May it be so.
May we be open to this light and the rich possibilities that it brings us.
We light this green candle to affirm our commitment to caring for the planet that is our home. Please join me in reading our covenant as the words appear on your screen. We covenant to create a caring, affirmative, and inclusive community that invites us to become our best selves.
Good morning. It is good to be with you, we say. It is more than good. It is soul healing, life-saving, mind expanding. To be with you changes everything. Welcome home, we say. Home to this community that has been here and will be here, a haven, a sanctuary, a home that is more than these four walls. You are safe here, we say. Safe to be your whole self, flesh and bones and blood, spirit and mind and heart. You can fail here, we say. Fail and be messy and forgive and be forgiven. Fail and find redemption over and over, because failing is divinely human. We are one, we say. One not in belief, but in history and future. One in sorrow and in joy, in freedom and in liberation. One in our birth among the stars. There is hope, we say. Radical, optimistic, determined hope. Active hope that creates itself anew, endlessly lighting the way. Your vulnerability is a gift, we say. Your trust, your commitment, your willingness to open your heart to the pain of connection, your presence itself is a gift to be treasured. You are loved, we say. Loved for all the ways you try and try again. Loved as your whole being, perfectly imperfect. Loved with a love that transcends fear. We gather together this morning, we say, with minds open, hearts yearning for meaning, spirits reaching out for connection, because we know no other way to live than this. Committed to question, learn, and grow. Committed to one another, to truth and hope and love. Committed to our shared time, the depth and meaning it offers. Committed to changing ourselves and this world we share. May it be so. Our opening hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit. Each week, we take time to share our important joys and concerns so all of us might help carry the burden and join in the celebration. If you wish to acknowledge a sorrow or joy from your heart, I invite you to raise your hand and unmute your mic when we call you by name. Or you may enter it in the chat and someone will read it aloud for you. While you are speaking, I'll drop a gem into this vase, which represents the embrace of our communal life. Are there any joys and concerns to be shared today? Spirit of love, we lift up those who may not have spoken today, who are feeling hurt or sorrow or lonely or ill. And Spirit of life, we give thanks for elder weddings. Love is forever young. And young adults being accepted off to college and the start of a new life. And oh my gosh, 47th anniversary of a gay couple. Wow, I've been out all my life, and to hear someone has been together that long is just so grand. May we who have an abundance of blessings reach out to those in need of our love and care. Let us come now into each other's presence and into the presence of the Holy that lives between us. Release any burdens you carry, sorrows that weigh on your heart, tasks waiting to be accomplished. Lay your worries down and allow yourself an unhurried, unclenched breath here in this beloved community. Let us pause before the mysteries of life and love. In the quiet of our hearts, may we come to know the soft, gentle coming of love that illuminates the threads between us and makes bright the blessings of our lives. And so for all that is spoken and unspoken, let us take a moment of silence. Thank you, Don. Our reading this morning is an excerpt from Jesus is the Question by Martin Copenhaver. We often use the words belief and faith as if they're synonymous, but they're different, and the difference matters. William Sloane Coffin put it this way: faith isn't believing without proof. It is trusting without reservation. Imagine that you are at a circus and a skilled high wire artist has accomplished so many marvelous feats that the audience has come to believe that he can do most anything. The ringmaster addresses the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you believe this daring man can ride safely over the high wire on his bicycle while carrying someone on his shoulders? If you believe he can do it, please raise your hand. And many in the audience raise their hands. Very well then, says the ringmaster, surveying all the raised hands. Now who would like to be the first to volunteer to sit on his shoulders? The difference between belief and faith is the difference between staying in your seat and climbing on the shoulders of a high wire artist. So faith is not just about an intellectual belief. It's about the reflection of trust in a relationship. May it be so. Each week, we have an opportunity to give thanks for the many blessings we have received in our lives and in our church community. Our offering is a chance to give back in support of the work and outreach of our church. To submit your offering electronically, you may follow the link in the chat, or you may mail it to All Souls Church at 196 Elm Street in Braintree, Mass. At this time, our morning offering will be given and received. Please join Linda and me in our responsive reading as the words appear on the screen. Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime.
Therefore, we are saved by hope.
Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history.
Therefore, we are saved by faith.
Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone.
Therefore, we are saved by love.
And no virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as from our own.
Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness.
There's a story about a little girl who asked her parents as they drove to church one Sunday morning, "What do we get at church?" And in response to the puzzled looks on her parents' faces, she explained, "Well, at the library, we get books. At the bank, we get money. At the grocery store, we get food. What do we get at church?" What do we get at church? Some might say hope, insight, inspiration, support, connection. But if we look closely, we might realize that these blessings may come through other sources as well, not just church, such as friendships, family, counseling, music, or a good book. So what is the unique blessing we get from church that we can't get anywhere else? Some might say faith. But if so, what does it mean for us as Unitarian Universalists when we say we are a people of faith? How can we lay claim to faith without the certainty of dogma, doctrine, and creed that attest to the existence of a God? After all, doesn't religion presume a belief in God? Good questions. In her book, Faith and Its Stages, the Reverend Julie Stoneberg defines three important terms for us to consider today: religion, belief, and faith. Religion, she says, comes from the Latin religio, which means to bind together. So religion is that which connects us to one another. It includes rituals like lighting our chalice as we begin our service, lighting candles as we share our important joys and concerns, committing ourselves to one another through child dedications, bridging ceremonies, and weddings, remembering our loved ones through memorial services, sharing our history and traditions. So religion provides a larger container in which we hold our beliefs, whatever they may be. According to James Fowler, an American theologian and the former director of the Center for Research on Faith and Moral Development, religion is about what we do. Belief comes from the German word belieben, which means to hold dear. Wilfred Cantwell Smith, one of the foremost historians of religion in the 20th century, said that belief is the holding of certain ideas about something. And Sharon Salzberg, the co-founder of Insight Meditation Center at Barre, Massachusetts, notes, with their assumptions of correctness, beliefs try to make a known out of the unknowable. They make presumptions about what is yet to come, how it will be, what it will mean, and how it will affect us. So, in essence, belief is what we think. As Unitarian Universalists, that which we hold most dear are our 7 principles and 6 sources. And it is our covenant to uphold these principles and honor these sources that bind us together and makes us stronger. So religion, belief, and faith. Stoneberg goes on to define faith. She says, comes from the Latin word fides, which means to trust. According to Fowler, faith refers to our most fundamental orientation to the world. Our basic images and core assumptions about how the world works and where our place is in that world. The kind of faith we have affects everything we do, how we respond to our environment, the quality and form of our relationships, and even our aspirations. Faith provides a backdrop of value and meaning in life. And Fowler calls the backdrop we create for ourselves the ultimate environment. In other words, if we believe the world is a hostile place, we will see ourselves as good and others as the enemy. A hostile environment assumes there is a victor and a loser. If, on the other hand, we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we might see ourselves in a world that invites us to grow in love, a benevolent environment that assumes best intentions and provides space for greater understanding. How we respond to life's trials and tribulations depends on our orientation to the world. How much trust or faith we have in ourselves and each other, whether the glass is half full or half empty. During my first year in seminary, I lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts as a live-in caregiver for a delightful 93-year-old woman named Louise. I received free room and board in exchange for my care services. At the end of the school year, I sat down with 2 family members to negotiate 3 weekends off per month during the summer, so I could work on my house and spend time with loved ones back in Maine. It was an extraordinary conversation, imbued with trust, mutual regard, and a presence of the holy. It was unlike any negotiation process I had ever experienced before or since. There was one family member, however, who was not at the negotiation table and disagreed with the arrangement after it had been put in writing, because it meant she would have to take turns caring for her mother when she might prefer to be doing something else on the weekend. The rest of the family thought my request was reasonable. And when I learned about the controversy, I had already made plans and asked that they honor our agreement for the first weekend. And to ease some of the tension, I expressed my faith in how we had come to our agreement, how beautifully we had come to our agreement, and hoped that an unexpected blessing might come of it. But when I returned to Cambridge that Sunday evening, I learned Louise had died over the weekend. And the daughter who had disagreed with our arrangement had been the one by her side when she had taken a turn for the worst. Had we broken our agreement, Louise would have died with me, not with her loved ones who needed to be with her most as she left this world. Faith in the process, trust in the process. Saint Therese of Lisieux reminds us, may we not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith in ourselves and each other. That's what this community offers us. UU minister Michael Brown tells us, faith is not about choosing something to believe in and then hanging on for dear life. Faith lets go. Faith is trusting in the creative process of life. It is moment by moment, unpredictable, creative, open-ended, spontaneous, responsive and responsible, yet always directed toward more joy, more beauty, more love, more compassion, and more justice. It doesn't need to be written down or memorized. Its secret cannot be immemorialized with words or recited on demand. The truth is not found in words or in a formula. The truth is found in the experience, in the heart, in the moment by moment response to being alive, fully alive. I remember going to a leadership conference with a member of my home church years ago. Lynn had been coping with the stress of caring for her husband, who was losing his ability to care for himself due to Alzheimer's. And the couple were raising their 10-year-old granddaughter. I knew a day-long conference would provide Lynn with much needed respite from caregiving. Now, Lynn is a diligent, detail-oriented person who is always prepared for anything. So I was surprised to learn she was still asleep when I arrived to pick her up that morning. She answered the door still sleepy-eyed and was suddenly mortified when she realized she had forgotten about the conference. She scurried about the house to get ready, and once in the car, apologized profusely for making us late. And I calmly reassured her that her state of mind was more important to me than the conference itself or when we got there. Once she realized I was not upset with her, she relaxed and we enjoyed our time together. When we arrived at the conference a half hour late, we learned that the presenter had been stuck in traffic coming out of Logan Airport and had arrived just a few moments before us, just long enough to take her coat off. Lynn was flabbergasted. First, that anyone would not have been upset with her for being so late, and that we had not missed any of the conference. She turned to me and asked, "Are you the one responsible for this miracle?" And I just shrugged my shoulders and smiled. I just had faith. I trusted the process. Amazing things happen when we do that. Sharon Salzberg reminds us, it is the act of offering our heart in faith that transforms and saves us. Now, some of you know how much I love the ocean. My relationship to water, however, has been a complicated one until recent years. As a child and most of my adult life, I was afraid of the water. But once I learned a few swim strokes, my fear of drowning was so great, I would stop swimming to see if I could touch the bottom. And if I couldn't, my head would go under, affirming my belief that the water was not safe. In the buoyancy of the ocean, I was less afraid of drowning and more afraid of being eaten by predatory fish I couldn't see. Yet despite all my fears, I fell in love with a kayak. I learned everything I needed to know about how to navigate the ocean. I purchased every rescue device available on the market and spent every spare moment on the sea mother's breast with my head safely above the water. When I learned my mother was dying and I left seminary to care for her, I was confident I could cope with her death as long as I could find my way back to the ocean. So I brought all my gear with me and stored it on her property. And when our neighborhood was hit by thieves, I was devastated to learn all my nautical gear had been stolen. 10 months later, my mother passed away and I felt untethered in the world. She was my last parent to leave. Landlocked with my grief, I was unable to sleep or meditate. So a friend who is a lifelong friend and trusted healer, and someone who identifies as a mermaid, invited me to go swimming with her at the Y. Since it was winter and I couldn't be on the ocean, she thought being in the water might renew my spirit. Once in the pool, she instructed me to float on my back and meditate while she supported my head and the small of my back. Feeling physically and emotionally exhausted, I placed my trust in the safety of her presence in the water and entered into a deep, healing, meditative, life-transforming state. 40 minutes later, I opened my eyes to see her patiently awaiting my return and tenderly watching me float. My spirit had been renewed and my gratitude was so profound, it took some time before I realized she was no longer supporting me. And yet, without any effort on my part or hers, I was floating in a complete and utter state of peace. Wow. Unfathomable for somebody with a morbid fear of water. When I returned to school in Newton, Massachusetts after my mother's death, I went swimming in Crystal Lake, which isn't a big lake, but it's a good lake. And for the first time in my life, I swam out to the middle of the lake, floated on my back, hands clasped behind my head, and legs crossed at the ankles, and meditated. I had become the boat. My orientation to the water and to the world had changed. Thanks to my wise, tender, loving friend, I was able to experience the weightlessness and comfort of being fully supported by that which I could not fathom. The water was no longer my enemy, capable of drowning me or harboring unforeseeable dangers. I had placed my trust in the water, and I had become one with it. It was a major turning point in my grief process when I was able to transfer my faith in the woman who had given me life to my ability to confidently navigate life without the presence of a parent in this world. Faith is about letting go and trusting in the moment. It's about our fundamental orientation to the world, and it's experienced in the heart. Brené Brown tells us faith is a place of mystery where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see. The future, perhaps, and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty. As Unitarian Universalists, we place our trust in the transforming power of love, however we know the source of that love. We place our trust in the inherent goodness of humanity, however flawed we may be as human beings. We place our trust in the quest for truth, knowing truth is forever unfolding in relation to our lived experiences. And we place our trust in science, knowing research contains biased assumptions. We place our trust in restorative justice as we strive to bend the moral arc of the universe. And like floating on water, we place our trust in the love and companionship we find in this community, knowing it will support us when we feel weak and vulnerable. So yes, my friends, we are a people of faith. According to Mohandas Gandhi, faith is not something to grasp. It's a state to grow in. Let us join together then as a people of faith as we continue on our journey. Blessed be.
Love will guide us, peace has guided us, hope inside us, we'll lead the way on the road from great to giving. Love will guide us.
Our closing words are by Jim Wickman. May our faith sustain us, our hope inspire us, and love surround us until we meet again. Blessed be. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may each of us carry its light into every day of our lives.
So we'd like to give special thanks today to Alicia, who is our Zoom host and does a terrific job every week. Ross Edwards was our online usher. I was the service associate. Don Swanson, who never stops amazing us with his flute. And Jacob, thank you very much for being the music director. And Reverend Beau Rivers, that was a beautiful service. Thank you, everybody. Oh, evidently Mary was the usher. Sorry. Oh, I'm reading this. Okay, so we have a few events coming up. We have the Connection Circles. It's via Zoom. It is 3:30 on Monday, and it's an open conversation. Also Monday at 6 o'clock, the Board of Trustees is meeting. The writing group via Zoom will be meeting Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
It says Tuesday on the screen.
Oh, it says Wednesday on here. I don't know which is correct. Sunday Service and Music Committee is going to meet Monday, 11/1 at 6:30. And the book discussion group is going to meet Tuesday, the 2nd of November, also at 7 p.m. And that's it from me, folks.
Guys, we're still looking for Dickens Festival volunteers. Is that correct? For cooking pies?
Eyes by guys.
Yeah, apple pies, to make apple pies. Monday or Friday in early November. Email Ross to volunteer or with questions. And with that, we can move on to coffee hour unless anybody has. Does anybody have any additional?
Yes,
Oh, Linda has something. Go ahead, Linda.
yeah. We also will need people to make chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh.
And they can contact me if they are willing to make a few dozen chocolate chip cookies.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. All right.
I just told Mark I'll make them, and he said he would eat them. So it's questionable whether or not you're gonna get mine, Lynn.
Seemed like the right thing to do.
You're a
One and
giver.
one, one and one.
All right, guys. So with that, our Sunday service is concluded. If you wanted to hop off, you're more than welcome to. We do have a tendency of doing a coffee hour after the service has ended. So we'd love to have you stay if you want to.